Hello, everyone. Thank you again for tuning in today. I hope that you're doing well. We've got the heat on here. It's kind of chilly. You probably know that we've started a new subject and a couple of weeks ago, and we're doing the subject is on the Ten Commandments, and today we're going to be doing commandment number 3. And so let's read it. It's found in Exodus chapter 20, verse 7. It says this: "You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain." Now, of all of the commandments, this one seems like it sticks out the most for me from my childhood. I suppose it's because it was used relating to swearing or using cuss words. As a youngster, even though I hadn't been saved, this one seems to stand out to me as being taught that it was something that was strictly forbidden. That is, to take the name of the Lord in vain. Now, I'll have to just say this, that I believe it was taught, and at least that's the way that I understood it, that that was in not saying the word God and connecting it with the word D-A-M-N. And as far as I was concerned, that kind of took in the totality of not taking the Lord's name in vain. In fact, we weren't really allowed to say, "Oh my God." We couldn't say that. We even couldn't. My mom didn't want us to say "golly." So we had to be really careful about that. Now, I did all kinds of other things that were wrong, but I can't remember not very often using that word. I'm not saying I never did use it, but I was really cautious about it. But now I know that taking the Lord's name in vain can mean other things as well, and not just using it in a cuss word. Now, I want to make it plain that is taking his name in vain when we use it in cursing. There's no question about it. But God said this in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 12. He says, "And you shall not swear by my name falsely, nor shall you profane the name of your God. I am the Lord." And so this, to me, tells me here's another way that we could take his name in vain. If I happen to be using God's name or anyone to validate something that I say as true and it's not true, then that would be taking the name of the Lord in vain. You could just say that in a court. They put their hand on the Bible and they swear to God that they will tell the truth. And if they lie, then they're taking God's name in vain. Now, another thing this verse says this, it says, "Nor shall you profane the name of your God. I am the Lord." Now, profane, I think of profane as a word we probably don't use this word to describe it. Sacrilegious. You probably don't hear that word a whole lot. But it's kind of taking something that is sacred and something that's holy and making it dirty and evil. That would be using it in a profane way. Now, it's really sad today, but there's certain art that we have in our culture, and we live in a godless culture. I mean, we just do. But certain art today renders depictions of Jesus in a really obscene and ugly and profane way. I don't know if you've seen any of those things or not, but the verse that we're studying today, the commandment, is not to take the Lord thy God's name in vain. Now, the word vain means useless or worthless or of no value. God's name is a reference to God himself. And to use his name in such a profane way, I mean, it just can't help but be something that is a sin. To use his name in association with something evil would also be something that would be wrong. Now, why? Because his name is high, his name is lifted up, His name is great and awesome. So to use his name as something that's low, or something that's worthless, or something that would dishonor the one who deserves our honor. He not only deserves our honor, but he deserves our praise and our worship. Now you may remember this, that when Jesus' disciples had asked him to teach them to pray, he gave them a model prayer. And if you recall, that model prayer began like this: Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And I just wanted to point that out because I thought it was interesting. When Jesus was teaching his disciples how to pray, the first thing that he said in approaching God is to recognize that God's name is to be hallowed. Now, what does hallowed mean? Hallowed means this: it means to make something holy or consecrated, something that's greatly revered and honored. I never have liked the expression, and I don't get mad at people, I get a little bit disgusted about it, but I've never liked this expression, the man upstairs. Now, both of those statements are not, first of all, God's not a man. And the second thing, he's not upstairs. He's in heaven, which is a holy place. Now, God said this through the prophet Isaiah in chapter 55, verses 8 and 9. Now, when I read this verse, you'll probably recall this verse. But he said, For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways, says the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Now think about that just a minute, what God is saying, because a lot of times we try to bring God down and make him like us. There's no comparison between how great God is. In fact, it says his ways and his thoughts are higher than the heavens are from the earth. If you could just think about how vast the universe is and how far the heavens are, the expanse of the heavens, then we could get a little bit of an idea of how God's thoughts are higher than our thoughts and his ways are higher than our ways. So I hope that helps us understand how great God is. Now, there's one final thing about this commandment that I didn't mention that I want to mention now, and that is that it comes with a warning. Don't know if you remember that or not, but God says that he will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. Now, what does that mean? So if God, now listen carefully, if God won't hold one guiltless for breaking this command, it means that he will hold a person guilty for breaking this commandment. So God notices these things. His name, I believe, and I think you may agree with me, is used too lightly today and too casually, and it is often profaned. We shouldn't do that because our God is a great and awesome God, and his name is great. And so let's just think about this commandment. How when we talk about him, listen, let's think about it and talk about it with reverence and with honor, because he deserves that. So I hope this commandment is, or this little discussion on the third commandment has been helpful to you. It's one that, like I said, I remember when I was a kid. If I said some bad words, and especially about God, I could get my mouth washed out with soap. But I hope that's been helpful. Now, next time we're going to be looking at commandment number 4, and that has to do, it's a little different, it has to do with the Sabbath. But we appreciate you tuning in, as I mentioned earlier. Hope you have a good week this week, and thank you again for watching this, whether you're watching it on our Facebook page or you're watching it on YouTube. You can look up on YouTube under Wynwood Frugal Baptist Church. And if you are either one, I wish you'd click on the like that you like this if you do. So have a good week. Thanks again for being with us.